Thank you, Ehud. Good evening in Jerusalem, and thank you again for spending some time with us. A few basic questions, if we can. Last week we saw the triumphant return of Sheik Qaradawi to Egypt, the person called the spiritual guide of the Muslim Brotherhood, speaking before millions of people in Tahrir Square. What is his current and future role in Egypt, and what is his influence on the current and future leadership of the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yes, Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi, now 84-year-old, is considered the sort of spiritual guide, spiritual mentor of the Muslim Brotherhood. Everybody who is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood came to Egypt after a long absence from Qatar, which is subsidizing him for years, in order to deliver a speech at Tahrir Liberation Square last Friday, celebrating the toppling of his enemy, President Mubarak. And during his speech, he called upon the Egyptian revolutionaries to march on Jerusalem, to liberate the Al-Aqsa Mosque, Temple Mount, etc. But that was not very well received, not because of the part in which he referred to Israel, but because of the fact that his security people have prevented the real leaders of the revolution, the Facebook and the Twitter guys, like Wael Roneim, Qaradawi is back with his mentors in Doha, Qatar. He will retain his influence over the Muslim Brotherhood. He will be issuing fatwas, religious rulings, but I don't think he will be playing a real role on the new political scene in Egypt.
When do you expect to see the new elections in Egypt, and what role will the Muslim Brotherhood play in it?
Well, that's the $64,000 question in Egypt now. When do we have parliamentary elections? First, they have to reach a consensus about the amendments to the constitution. They are working on it now. The army, the military Supreme Council has nominated a well-respected committee to draft its proposal. We have parliamentary elections in Egypt before the end of the year. I'll tell you this, Abe, most leaders of the Egyptian opposition are begging the army not to have early elections. And the simple reason is that nobody has a political organization in place. Nobody has any grassroots organization except for the Muslim Brotherhood. So both Muhammad Baradei, the ex-chief of the IAEA in Vienna, or the current Secretary General of the Arab League, Amr Moussa, who's going to run at the age of 74, all of them are saying elections, yes, amendments to the constitution, of course, but not too early. We need time.
And the Muslim Brotherhood will...
political... Please.
I was just asking, and will the Muslim Brotherhood put up its own candidate for president and run candidates for parliament?
No. The Muslim Brotherhood, after a long process of consultation, which is always very complex in this movement, has reached the conclusion, A, not to run a candidate this time. Doesn't say they will not try it next time. Not to run a candidate for president this time. Number two, not to seek this time parliamentary majority. Having said that, I have to add that they are well aware of the fact that being the single most or best organized movement in Egypt right now, they will have a lot of clout and they can sway the elections between the different candidates.
The last question has to do more directly with Israel's current security situation. Can you describe for us the situation in Sinai as well as the border between Egypt and Gaza, and of course Gaza and Israel?
Yes, I will try. The Israeli government has accepted the request by the Supreme Military Council, which is ruling now Egypt, to allow about 5 battalions to enter eastern Sinai, something which is forbidden by the peace treaty signed in 1979 between Israel and Egypt. And the reason that why Israel has said yes this time is that people here realize that there is a very dangerous vacuum created in the Sinai, which are running smuggling networks, pushing missiles, etc., into Gaza. And also some Al-Qaeda affiliated groups to strike roots in the Sinai. And the idea that the Sinai, 3 times bigger than the state of Israel itself, will become some sort of a no man's land is not acceptable, either to the Egyptian government or to the Israeli government. So at this point in time, I would say that the Egyptians were able to regain the same control that they used to have before over their joint border with the Gaza Strip, which means that they have partial control over the traffic, but not a full control.
And were the Israeli authorities surprised that a Grad missile reached Beersheba? And do you expect more attacks from within Gaza in the coming days and weeks?
The to Beersheba was an operation of the Islamic Jihad. I can tell you because I know details. It was a decision by one squad of the Islamic Jihad to avenge the killing by an Israeli drone of their commander, who was doing something else in order to strike at Israel. And Hamas has made it very clear now to Islamic Jihad that they will not accept such undisciplined. It's a strange situation in which Hamas is now taking care that the Islamic Jihad behave themselves, but it doesn't mean that Hamas itself is not getting ready for the day that they will decide that it's time to shoot again.
Thank you. Let me just ask a real quick response. How much longer do you think Muammar Gaddafi can hold on to power?
I didn't get it. How long who?
How long do you think that Muammar Gaddafi can stay in power in Tripoli?
Abe, I'm going to take a risk for you, and I'm saying under the present circumstances, I would say that it's the last chapter, but it can be a very, very, very long and bloody chapter. At this point in time, threat of the rebels marching into his capital Tripoli, he's not being threatened by any forces within his capital. He's not being threatened by the West or the US. So it can be a very, very prolonged and painful process.
Thank you, Ehud. Thanks for your patience and for your insight. Good night.
My pleasure. Bye.